You have no idea how much of the economy you're already in. You're operating at a specific level of the hidden economy. Some people spend their entire lives at one level. Others climb so high they can see how the entire system actually works. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand. It might shock you. Let's start at the bottom. Level 1. You wake up, go to work, get a paycheck, spend money, and pay taxes. Everything flows through official channels. The system feels permanent, trustworthy, and complete. You assume prices are fair because regulations enforce them. You believe supply chains are legitimate because someone's watching. You trust institutions because they're official. There's an entire parallel economy operating right beside you, and you have no visibility into it. You've never needed to look for it. The system works fine for you. So you don't. But what if I told you that some people are paying 50% less for products? That certain transactions happen with zero tax obligation? That an entire layer of economic activity exists completely invisible to you? It doesn't affect them. But their ignorance is costing them money every single day. Everything changes when you stumble onto information you can't unsee. Maybe you watched a documentary. Maybe a friend mentioned something in passing. Maybe you read an article about counterfeit goods moving through hidden channels. Suddenly you realize the system isn't complete. There are gaps, and other people know how to use them. You're still 100% inside the legal economy, but your mind has shifted. You start noticing things you never saw before: cash payments, products sold offline, services done without paperwork. At this level, you realize something crucial. The official economy depends on visibility. If nobody's watching, the rules start to bend. And a lot of people have figured this out. You're not involved yet. You're just aware. But awareness is dangerous because once you see the game, you can't unsee it. You start asking yourself, am I the fool for not? Then comes the first transaction. A contractor offers you cash pricing. A service provider says they can skip the paperwork. Someone tells you something outside official channels. And here's what surprises you. It feels completely normal, no drama. No illegal-looking handshake. Just two people making a deal that works for both of them. You get it cheaper and faster. They avoid the overhead. Simple. And suddenly you understand the logic. Why pay extra for regulations and middlemen? Why fill out forms if you can skip them? It feels less like breaking rules and more like optimizing. You're not deeply involved, but you're no longer an outsider looking in. You've crossed the line, and the view is very different. The question now isn't whether this exists. You've seen it. The question becomes, how much further down does this go? At some point, you stop observing and start participating. Maybe it's small. You take a cash payment for freelance work. You pay someone directly to fix something instead of hiring a licensed business. You participate in transactions that exist in the gray space. It doesn't feel like crime. It feels smart. It feels efficient. And here's where something important happens. Your entire relationship with rules changes. You stop seeing the system as immovable law and start seeing it as something you can navigate. You understand the trade-offs. No protection if something goes wrong. No guarantees. But complete control and flexibility. Once you operate this way, your awareness explodes. You're not just seeing the gaps anymore. You're living in them. You start to understand why people do this. And more importantly, you start to wonder, what's possible at the next level? Everything you've known until now operates through systems, platforms, rules, official channels. Level 5 is where you realize that systems don't matter anymore. People do. Access is no longer public. Opportunities don't show up on listings. They come through conversations, introductions, and connections. If you're reliable, you're in. If you're not, you're out. There's no contract, no formal guarantee, just reputation. Information moves selectively through trusted networks. The rules become unwritten because everyone in the network already knows them. At this level, Knowing the right people becomes infinitely more valuable than knowing the rules. And once you're inside this network, you start seeing patterns. Patterns that nobody outside can see. You realize that the entire structure operates completely differently than the official economy. It's not open. It's not regulated. It's built on trust and reputation. And you've just been introduced to how the real game is played. But here's what most people don't know. This level connects to something much bigger. You begin to see the system as a whole. Individual transactions that seemed separate, they're connected. Money moves through layers, passing through intermediaries in patterns. You start to recognize the logic, how things are structured to reduce exposure, manage risk, and operate without drawing attention. Where regulations are tight, alternative paths appear. Where there's friction, solutions emerge. At this level, you're no longer reacting. You see a shadow economy operating alongside the visible one with its own rules, its own logic, its own efficiency. You recognize transactions that look small and isolated from the outside, but are actually part of something much more organized. You're still observing. But you're observing from inside the system now, and the view is completely different. Most people never reach this level. Those who do never go back to thinking the old way. Now things operate at a scale you've never contemplated. Not small cash transactions, not isolated exchanges. Coordinated activity involving significant money and multiple layers of participants. Each part has a role. Each step is designed to reduce exposure. Information is compartmentalized, so nobody sees the whole picture except the people at the top. From the outside, very little is visible. What you do see looks ordinary. What's actually happening? Far more complex. When operations scale, they stop being informal. They become organized, structured, professional. They use separate entities, controlled information flows, and systems designed to move massive amounts of money without drawing attention. You're still technically observing, but your understanding has completely shifted. You recognize this isn't a collection of small actions. This is infrastructure. This is an economy operating by its own rules. And here's what's terrifying. It connects to larger systems, markets, institutions, power structures that influence how capital moves globally. Once you see this level, you can never unsee it. At the highest level, you understand something almost nobody grasps. The hidden economy isn't separate from the official one. It exists alongside it. They interact. They influence each other. Capital flows between both worlds depending on incentives, restrictions, and access. What operates quietly in one market can influence outcomes across industries, affecting pricing, availability, resource distribution. Without leaving any visible trace in public reports or everyday transactions. The system isn't defined by what you can see. It's defined by how everything visible and invisible works together. You've just understood something that most people will never comprehend. The economy operates on two frequencies at once, and the invisible one might be bigger than the one you're allowed to see. So where are you right now? Are you at level 1, completely unaware? Level 3, occasionally participating? Or have you climbed higher, where you understand things most people will never see?